The Khabib fight's like, all right, yeah, Khabib's just going to grapple him, choke him out. Nate Diaz fight, he got his back, choked him out. All right, but if it stays on the feet, Conor can knock him out. Well, it stayed on its feet. Conor got knocked out. So as a Conor fan, you're like, oh shit, it's over. A little bit of you is like, fuck, the ride's over. The ride's over. And in hindsight, again, take out your dislike or your like for Conor McGregor, and let's say you're Scrooge McDuck and you run the UFC. And we sit down and we go, all right, let's just take out any love or hate you have for Conor McGregor. And you sit down, you're looking at the roster of the UFC, and you're in this meeting, and our number one agenda is to make money. Our only agenda is to make money. We don't give a fuck about CTE. We don't give a fuck about if you break your leg. We don't care about anything else. We need to make the most money possible, get the most eyeballs possible, and make ESPN happy. That's our only goal. Our only goal is that. And you're at this board meeting, and they sit down and they go, all right, man, it's pretty clear. We got a front runner who sells the most tickets, sells the most merch, sells the most pay-per-views. If he's fighting that week, it's insane. Our ads are through the roof. The marketing's through the roof. Nobody gets a bigger response than this Irish kid, Conor McGregor. And he goes, okay, let's fight him. And you're like, okay. Someone should have went in there and went, okay, but if we're going to get multiple fights out of this kid because we want the most money possible, what's the best plan? Did nobody go, well, don't give him Dustin Poirier. Why? Well, because he's been active, right? He beat Max Holloway. He did lose to Khabib, but I mean, he's been on fucking tear, man. He's doing it. And also, what if he loses? What are we going to do? You might get one out of him if he still wants to do it. We might squeeze him dry and get a Nate Diaz trilogy. But other than that, we're fucked, man. So what would you do? Well, I think let's ease him back into it because he hasn't been in the game. He did fight Cowboy, and then someone stands up and goes, yeah, but he's older, right? Yeah, good point, dude. Good point. So what should we do with him? Well, I think what we should do with him is let's do the Nate Diaz trilogy fight. Nate hasn't been active. It's a huge fight. Introduces the casuals, gets everybody on board. Let's go Nate Diaz. If he looks good in that one, then what do we do? And then you can map it out, dude. But what you don't do with your biggest cash cow is go, give him the fucking dog, Dustin Poirier. Because now we're in a tough spot. We're in a tough spot, man. You're in a tough spot as a business if you're the UFC. You're in a tough spot if you're in the Conor McGregor business. Also, the other thing that should worry you if you're a Conor fan is Conor in the press conference goes, this one feels different. I'm not as upset. Okay. Well, if you don't care, I don't care. And if you don't care, you should stop doing it. Now, I know he says, I just got to get back in there and get it back on the horse. But if that loss doesn't hurt you to your core, you're not going to win the next one, Bubba. So that should be alarming. And I also think, again, I always say my favorite thing of any sport is watching a UFC fighter when they're a prospect and they're coming through the rankings and we're getting on this hype train. They're passing the test. And there's never been a funner ride than Conor McGregor. I know he did all that weird shit outside. Take all that out. I'm just talking as far as pure sports entertainment. There's never been a fighter more fun to go along the ride with than this. Just hasn't been, man. It's been a fucking phenomenal ride. It's been great. But he's at a different point in his life, right? He's at a different point. Some would say he's happy. He has 2 kids. He has a wife now. She's pregnant. He has all the money in the world. I just don't know in mixed martial arts if you can have all that and still compete with the dogs of the division. Because guess who doesn't have that? Dustin Poirier. Guess who doesn't have that? Justin Gaethje. Guess who doesn't have that? Charles Oliveira. Guess who doesn't have that? Tony Ferguson. Those guys are fucking dogs. And I bet you, gun to the head, if you ask those guys I just mentioned, would you die tonight in that octagon? Every single one of those guys I just mentioned would say yes, except Conor McGregor. Like, die, bitch. I got $100 million in the bank. You saw the yacht I came in on. You saw the Rolls Royce. What do you die? I got 3 kids. It's just a different game, dude. It's just a different game. I'm not saying you can't have a family and be successful. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have $100 million in the bank and you're in fucking yachts and you've done it, man. You've become a 2-division champion. You've become the biggest name in the sport. You become the face, one of the biggest faces in sports, period. You've done it all, man. Your whiskey's killing it. Your merch is killing it. You got all this stuff going on. I'm saying then the fire just dwindles out, man. And it's tough to wake up and do the same things that these other guys are willing to do. And for the first time, I went, oh no. And you saw it. You know, I bet Theo Vaughn, my partner in crime from King of the Sting, I bet Theo $1,000 on Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. And Theo asked me, he goes, seriously, how do you see this going? And I said, dude, listen, if it's a Conor McGregor that fought Eddie Alvarez, if it's the best version of Conor McGregor and the best version of Dustin Poirier, Conor probably will win that fight. If it's the very best, Conor would probably win that fight. If Conor's off at any level, if he's 90%, if he's 80%, if he's 95%, he's going to lose. I don't know what percentage he was at. I would not say even close to 90%. I think Conor's fallen in love with boxing. We don't see the movement, the fluidity, the mixing up with the kicks. See that cool spinning kick? That was cool. We don't see the teep that he's known for, keeping guys back. The head movement, the movement's just not the same. He's not a mixed martial artist anymore, is he? He's more of a boxer that's decided to fight in mixed martial arts. And we've seen it happen before. Andrei Arlovski, when they fell in love with boxing, for whatever reason, I think maybe the distance is different. For whatever reason, when a guy dedicates his life to boxing, it usually doesn't go well in mixed martial arts. They usually get tagged the fuck up. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's just different distance, different game. There's variables in there. It's just different. You don't have those 8-ounce or 10-ounce gloves on, depending what weight you're at, So whenever a guy is just strictly boxing, but also if you're Dustin Poirier and you realize that Conor's fallen in love with boxing, he's just boxing, man, it's a bunch of less things I have to worry about. I just have to worry about his left hand now? All right, cool. That's it. He's not going to do all the cool shit. Not going to switch his stances like he used to do, the sweet jab, the teep kicks, all that cool shit. I don't have to worry about all that weird stuff that we didn't know what angle is coming from. The Eddie Alvarez days. What? That guy was a fucking Irish tsunami. Not anymore. He's a river, straight, one-dimensional boxer. What do you do then? You tell me you'd pay to see Conor fight Manny Pacquiao now?
It's not as exciting.
It's still, so if Dustin would have done his thing, his back and forth, and then Dustin gets back and chokes him out, I can still sell you on a Manny Pacquiao fight. When you get knocked out on your feet, we can no longer sell you the Manny Pacquiao fight. Now, will it sell? Yeah, it'll sell. Will it sell like it should have? Nowhere near. Does Manny Pacquiao even want to do it? Probably not. The boxer weight, they're probably saying, hold up, you got knocked out in your sport? And you want to fight the best ever over here? Come on. That ain't happening. Like think about when he fought Floyd. Yeah, he lost to Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz choked him out. Floyd can't do that. So his shit talk was like, I saw him last. All right, yeah, cool, man. That guy's a world class on the ground. Nate Diaz. All right, and he's bigger. All right, cool story, dude. This on the feet though, and I've never been touched on the feet. Bring it. That's out the window. You got to imagine the UFC. Not that they need anybody. They don't. They're fine. I'm just saying in hindsight, looking back on it, Conor's management team, I know what Conor wants to do. Conor probably wants to fight the very best. Although Conor, the writing was on the wall, man. He knows he can't go in there and compete with these guys if you don't give him the time to fucking rebuild and get better. He knows it, man. He was begging you guys. He fucking shared the DMs with Dana, for God's sakes. He was so fucking starving to get back in there because he knows. And they're like, oh, fucking Diego Sanchez? Yeah, man. That he needed a warm-up. He needed something to go in there. He didn't want to fight the number 2 lightweight in the world. It's insane, dude. It's insane. And he lost bad, man. He lost bad. And I think even the demeanor, you can tell, like the leading up to the fight. I don't need this shit talk. I don't need all that to buy a fight. But we know Conor, he has that chip on his shoulder, man. Those chips are gone, man. Those chips are gone. It's gone. Part of me sad, Part of me's happy for him. And I think as he wakes up this morning, he thinks about it. It has to cross through his mind, like, do I want to do this anymore? Because if I go, let's say, and we know how the UFC is, man. The UFC is not like, oh, let's coddle Conor and give him, this guy. Let's give him a Diego Sanchez. We know they're not going to do that. They're going to go, all right, Conor's on the back end, man. We need to build up the next guy. Here's Justin Gaethje. That's what they're going to do. Here's Charles Oliveira. Here's Dan Hooker. Look at 55, man. What are you going to do? What fight's fun there for him, So if you're Conor, you got to wake up and be like, all right, another knockout loss, what's that do to my legacy? What's that do to me being cemented as one of the greatest to ever do it? Where another loss? Dude. So now when you're talking about legacy, which we know he cares about, because I don't think he would have ever come back and go on this run if Khabib wasn't out and it wasn't for legacy. But now we're talking about legacy, another loss, Bubba, and then what are we going to do, dude? Because you don't want to be remembered as that, Nor should he. But again, there's no sport like mixed martial arts. There's no sport, especially like the UFC, because we always say, oh, these guys need more money. These guys need, we don't want them to have brain trauma. We want to see them walk away. And yet you want to see Conor fight more. Conor's happy, man. He's happy. He doesn't have that fighter spirit anymore, really. Whenever you lose, if it doesn't fucking shake you to your core, if your entire world isn't crumbling, if it doesn't feel like you can breathe the next morning, you got to get out. You got to get out, man. Because there's a kid from a favela in Brazil named Charles Oliveira who will snatch your fucking neck off for a fraction of the money you're getting paid. A fraction. I could call him tonight and he'd be on a plane from Brazil and fight you tomorrow in a backyard, at a playground, and will snap your fucking neck off. And he's not going on yachts. He's never been on a yacht. He does not have those fancy watches. He does not have a deal with Netflix. He does not have whiskey to fall back on. He's going to snap your fucking neck off, man. So a bit of me is sad because I just felt bad for him. I don't know. I know. And I know you guys are like, oh, but he has all the money in the world and fame. I get that. But you guys should know by now, everybody should know money does not equal happiness. It doesn't. It doesn't, man. So for Conor, that money box is checked, which is fantastic. Good for him, man. He beat the game. He's the biggest to ever do it. But just as a human being, to see him lose like that, you're just like, fuck, man. Fuck. Heartbreaking. Happy for Dustin. And don't get twisted. I'm way closer with Dustin than I am Conor. Way closer. Dustin's my boy. I text Dustin. He knows the bet, that there's no disrespect there. Hopefully Theo buys $1,000 of his hot sauce.
This is what Dan sent me. Dustin Poirier replying to...
Yeah, I talked to Dustin early this morning. He was first paper, and then Dustin pay Theo his money. Hilarious. Hilarious.
Yeah.
We'll get him on food truck. Dustin knows I love him. It's just, So for Conor, I don't want to see him fight a Gaethje next. I don't want to see him fight a Dan Hooker next. I'd like to see him fight a Nate Diaz if they're going to do it. If he wants to do it. From what I saw, it didn't look like the Conor that wants to do it. He looked nervous going in. He looked nervous walking to the cage. We've never seen him like that. And he always gets up. He likes the melee, the chaos, the craziness that he brings to an arena. That's not there during COVID. So he can't feed off that energy, Granted, those Irish fans out there were loud. God bless them, man. As loud as they could be. Probably 7,000 people in there. But he's used to a packed house and he feeds off that energy. And that's not there.
Yep.
And if your heart's not into it, maybe if they want to mark it as Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz, the last fight, both done, I'd watch that.
What would you think? So how you mentioned, he did mention the time off, and he also mentioned like the calf kicks was what caused him to get knocked out, essentially. Mm-hmm. it didn't seem like he just lost some of his chin. I don't know.
I don't know if Dustin Poirier hits like a Mack truck.
Okay.
Dustin Poirier hits like a Mack truck, and I do think his leg was compromised. You don't get to Conor McGregor's level and not know how to check a leg kick. It's not. This isn't a new technique. This isn't something where it's like, holy, a fucking calf kick? This is insane. We've never seen this before. Again, he's fallen so in love with boxing. That wasn't a huge focus. It's mixed martial arts. But Mike Brown, shout out to him. It's just, when you see something like that, usually going to fight, unless you're fighting, a Nate Diaz, we know for a fact doesn't kick. He's really the only guy that doesn't kick. These Rusty's 155ers. What do you think he's doing against Justin Gaethje?
I know, that's insane.
What are you gonna do? What are you? Charles O'Leary can fucking kick. Tony Ferguson can kick. Dos Santos can kick. Hooker can kick. Paul Felder can kick. Dariush can kick. It's just, because they're mixed martial artists. But when you fall so in love with boxing and your main focus has been boxing, it's tough. Like Andrew Schultz texted me and just went, man, has he never fought a kicker before? No, he has. Then why was he checking him? I don't know what to tell you, dude.